Hello everyone, my name is Mike and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're continuing Sabaton week and we're having a look at Attack of the Dead Men. Without further ado, link will be in the description to the original video and let's get into it. So Attack of the Dead Men, for those of you that have been watching this channel for a little while, I did actually check out Simple's history video on Attack of the Dead Men, so I do have a little bit of context around this. But obviously, you know, I don't know what the content of the song's going to be. It might include some information that Simple History missed out, but otherwise, I'm ready to go into this. Let's go. Okay, so I think that's the first verse. Apologies if I just cut that short. But yeah, so from what I remember from the Simple History video, the whole concept behind this is that the Russians during the First World War were holding a fort, and I can't remember actually what the fort was called. And they were holding this position for an extremely long amount of time. You know, and they had been shelled, they had been charged, but still the defenders were able to hold strong. And eventually the Germans resorted to using chlorine gas, which has this kind of green tint. It oxidizes metal and guns and stuff like that, which I suppose the video is trying to go for, with that kind of greenish kind of tint to the smoke. And then after the gas, the Germans brought up several divisions, which I assume is probably what the 7,000 were alluding to in the song there. And then obviously once the Germans actually get there, they find that the Russian survivors, many who were, you know, covered in horrific gas-related injuries, you know, chemical burns, kind of coughing up blood and stuff like that, but still have enough strength to fight, actually countercharge, and that causes the Germans to flee. Yeah, I don't know really what more to... Let's see where the song goes. So just pausing it there, and so the line against Hindenburg versus the Tsar. So for those of you who don't know, Hindenburg was Field Marshal von Hindenburg, and he was commander of the German forces in that region. And then the Tsar, meaning Tsar Nicholas II, who, despite not really having any military expertise whatsoever, was technically in charge of the Russian army, commander-in-chief. And again, going away from this as well, it's also what some historians have led to blaming him a little bit towards the Russian Revolution as well, in that as the Russian army was kind of dealt defeat, because he took kind of personal command of the army, and as that kind of figurehead role, each Russian defeat kind of undermined his own core himself, because again, it wasn't very helpful that he was increasingly inexperienced as well. But yeah. So again, just quickly before, so that'll be the name of the fortress then. That Osavich, or I don't particularly know how to pronounce it. I apologize. But yeah, that was the name of the fortress. Yeah, and that information, that little inserts there, that was really good, because it kind of provides the story even if you don't know. So it's kind of done my job for me in a little sense. But yeah, so it, as I said, gas or chemical weapons has been regulated since 1925, and countries have been stockpiling them ever since, essentially. And while they're supposed to be regulated and restricted to a certain degree, several nations, not naming any names, still carry out in chemical weapons in some regard. That kind of goes against the whole idea of it. But the important thing is, it's a good thing, even if they're still being stockpiled and some nations still use them in some regard. It's still better than actually using them on the scale that we saw in the First World War, because chemical, and particularly gas as well, are horrific weapons of war. Just for the sheer practicality. A lot of gas, I mean, chlorine, you can kind of still see like a greenish tint with it on the horizon. It's almost like green mist. But a lot of other gases are, invisible, odorless, and they cause horrific injuries, and they're indiscriminate. It doesn't matter if they're a civilian, non-combatant, wounded, or able, fit, fighting body. And as we saw in the First World War as well, it didn't matter what side you was on. Depending on what way the wind was blowing meant, who was getting it. As what happened several times in the First World War, where the wind blew back on whatever side was trying to use the gas. And particularly here as well, I forgot to mention that in the Attack of the Dead Men, they spoke about the Russian soldiers kind of binding themselves in cloth to try and stop it. It's because the Russian troops weren't equipped with gas masks either. So they was fully up against it. They had no protection whatsoever that they could do. I think, if I'm correct, a rather rudimentary gas mask is for cloth and then to urinate on it, and that works to some regard to try and block some of the gases from getting in. But obviously, it's not going to be on the same standard as a gas mask. Yeah, in the First World War, it's kind of a relatively new kind of development. I mean, you had similar types of weapons before, chemical weapons, I suppose, in the terms of like Greek fire in antiquity and things like quicklime, but nothing really on that type of scale. And so not only is it a new weapon, but the battlefields themselves meant that it was kind of perfect for it. Trenches don't protect you from gas. Artillery shells, particularly heavy shelling. You think of your no man's land, which you kind of think of when it comes to your mind, of these shell craters and stuff like this. When troops were going over the top and they were trying to seek some sort of cover from the defending fire or whatever, many troops would jump into shell holes thinking that would protect them, provide them some cover to save their lives. And because of the way that gas works, is some of the gas actually sat at the bottom of these shell craters. So as troops hopped in to try and save their own lives, sometimes they was hopping away from bullets and into gas. And most of the time when you're going over the top, you don't have your gas mask on. And so yeah, gas, chemical weapons, horrific weapons. But yeah. Okay, so that's Attack of the Dead Men. Yeah, I mean, song-wise, again, I thought it was really catchy. Relatively kind of not that much in the verses though. I mean, in terms of like context, because I suppose that's the thing, because it's kind of a one-off event. It weren't like a rolling kind of series of events or a long story. It was kind of that singular event. So that makes sense, but it was still really catchy. I really loved. I really, there isn't really a Sabaton song that I've listened to and I've just gone, I don't really like the tune of it. But yeah, otherwise, like contextually and historically wise, I don't really have much more to add that I haven't said, because, going into watching the Simple History video, I didn't even know about this event. And now, I've got a fairly decent understanding, I feel like, and I feel like there isn't really too much more that can be really exposed about it. However, I might be wrong. If you personally, you guys out there, know more about this event than I've let on, or the videos that I've watched let on, then please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to learn more. You know, I'm here to learn more, just like you guys hopefully are, to hopefully learn a bit as well. And yeah, I said that's been Sabaton's Attack of the Dead Men. So without further ado, I hope to see you in the next one. Link to the original video will be in the description as always. I hope you enjoyed. Please stay safe, and I will hope to see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.